Welcome back. In today's video, I thought it'd be fun to look at all of the Hornady/Ruger cartridges and to rank them from worst to best. So we're going to look at all 10 cartridges that they've made and see which ones are the losers and which ones are the winners. Let's get into it. Now I want to make a few things clear before I start ranking off the Hornady cartridges. Number one, this is just my opinion, okay? I am bound to offend a number of you. A number of you might agree. But again, this is based on opinion, not facts. Is number two, I just want to go over how I'm basing my opinion. I'm going to be as objective as possible. So what does that mean? Most or half of the ranking is going to be based off of how this cartridge has succeeded in the market and how it's influenced other cartridges or influenced the culture of hunting. The next thing is just its performance, 40% based off performance. How does this cartridge perform in hunting, in long distance shooting? And so that's a big part. And lastly, it's, do I like the cartridge? So it's very little, 10% just to my personal taste. At number 10, and what I believe to be the worst or most dead Hornady cartridge is the 338 Ruger Compact Magnum, and until yesterday I had no idea this cartridge even existed. So what is it? Well, Ruger/Hornady released this in 2008. It's based off the 375 Ruger Magnum, and basically it is a shortened version of a 338 Win Mag. Doesn't quite get the performance of the Win Mag, but it kind of gets close. How come it never succeeded? I don't know. But let me know if you've even ever heard of this cartridge, because I didn't even know it existed. So I'm going to put it at dead last. Coming in at number 9, and almost as irrelevant as the 338 Ruger Compact Magnum, is the 300 Ruger Compact Magnum. And I think this cartridge never really succeeded because the 30 caliber cartridges, well, that's a hard market to get into because there's just so many of them and so many that are already established. And so what is this? Well, it's basically, it's based off the 375 Ruger, and it's shortened to 2.10 inches, basically just like a 338 Ruger Compact Magnum. And it actually has pretty decent performance, but again, I think the issue is it was trying to get into a market that's just so busy as it is with all the 30 caliber cartridges. But as you can see here, a 180 grain bullet, well, 2,700 feet per second. That's 30-06 performance. So if it's competing with the 30-06, good luck, Hornady. So I do put this at second last, coming in at 9, just because I think this cartridge is basically dead. Coming in at number 8, I have the 375 Ruger, which was also introduced in 2008. And the 375 Ruger is really, I think its crowning moment is that it's the parent case to all the really successful PRC cartridges. So this 300 PRC, it's just a neck down version of a 375 Ruger. And the whole idea from Hornady and Ruger is basically provide 375 H&H performance in a 20-inch barrel. And so it's a very packable gun, a very short barrel. And it, according to Hornady, it does match 375 H&H. But how many people are actually using the 375 Ruger? When you think of a gun that does it all, I think the 375 H&H just comes to mind. At number 7 on the list is the 6mm ARC. This is actually a pretty new cartridge. It was introduced in 2020. And while you can get this, I think, in a bolt gun, it really thrives in a AR-15. So what's the purpose for this cartridge? Well, it's kind of an improved 5.56. You can shoot higher BC bullets, heavier bullets, and so it's just a fun little cartridge that you can take out to distance better than a 5.56. And I put this at number 7 because, well, I don't think it's ever going to outsell the 5.56, obviously. And you can't really find ammo for this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard this is a very hard ammo find. Okay, next I have the 416 Ruger. And again, this is really just a 375 Ruger, necked up to 416, so a lot like the 300 PRC, necked up to 416. And I think this is better than the 375 Ruger. You're getting more power, you're getting more energy, and I think it's just a better dangerous game cartridge. And what's cool about it is that you're matching a 416 Rigby and almost a 416 Remington Magnum in a 20-inch barrel. And so it's a very handy rifle, and I think it's a pretty solid choice for a dangerous game cartridge. At number 6 is this little guy. In fact, it's actually the first Hornady / Ruger cartridge they ever made, the 204 Ruger. The 204 Ruger is a fun little speed demon that you can load up in ARs, you can load it up in a bolt action rifle, and it kind of gives the 22-250 Remington a run for its own money. So what kind of velocities can you get out of the 204 Ruger? Well, you can shoot as little as a 24 grain bullet, and as I said, it was really getting up there with the 22-250 Remington. It might actually exceed it. I think it about matches it. 4,500 feet per second, which is crazy velocities. A 32 grain at 4,200 feet per second. So obviously the 22-250 Remington is faster with the same weight bullets, and this cartridge is very unique. Its parent case is the 222 Remington, and it's just a fun little cartridge. And so I put it at number 6. It's not as popular as some of the cartridges I'm about to list. Coming in at number 5, we're now in the top 5, I have the 6mm Creedmoor. Now, I think this cartridge is a top 5 from the Hornady cartridges solely because of its influence on the long range folks. Those that are shooting target, this is an amazing little round. And so what it is obviously just a 6.5 Creedmoor neck down to 6mm. If you heard of the 243, same bullet diameter. It competes with the 243 Winchester, and unfortunately, or fortunately, this cartridge has not taken off like the 6.5 Creedmoor. At least in the hunting world, it hasn't. I still feel like the 243 Winchester is dominating the 6mm. And where the 6mm Creedmoor really has its advantage over a 243 Winchester and possibly the 6.5 Creedmoor is just the high BC bullets it can shoot, because it's going to have a twist rate of at least 1 in 8, and at least Nosler's saying it's a 1 in 7.5. I mean, check it out. You can shoot a 115 grain bullet with a very high BC of 0.634 and a very good velocity. So what you don't get in the 6.5 Creedmoor is high velocities with high BC bullets. You're getting that with the 6mm Creedmoor. At number 4 is the 300 PRC. It's definitely not the most popular 30 caliber cartridge. The 300 Win Mag is still leading in sales, but I think the 300 PRC is starting to make a dent in the 30 caliber magnums, and it's a good one. Power-wise, the 300 PRC sits right in between the 300 Winchester Magnum and the 300 Weatherby Magnum. And so, not that many people are going to shoot like a 180 grain bullet out of a 300 PRC, but you're going to be able to shoot it 3150 to 3200 feet per second pretty easily in a 24-inch barrel. What really makes the 300 PRC great is that right out of the gate, from a factory rifle, you can shoot the highest BC bullets that 30 calibers offer. So you can shoot a 250 grain bullet that you wouldn't be able to shoot in a 300 Win Mag or a 300 Weatherby without getting it in a custom gun. So I think it fills a niche market where you're getting casual long distance shooters that don't really want to spend the money on a custom gun, but still want to shoot some long distance shooting. So not higher just because the 30 caliber magnums, there's just so many. There's a lot of good ones, and all of them come at least with 1 in 10 twists, which can get you to shoot up to 230 grain bullets without having to go to a faster twist rate. So is this cartridge really needed? I don't know. At number 3 is the new 7mm PRC. And maybe this is putting the cart in front of the horse, but I think this cartridge is going to do extremely well. It has great ballistics, it's efficient, basically matches the 7mm Remington Magnum. The only question is, will Hornady catch up or stay with the demand that I think it's going to have? I did go to a local gun shop. They did actually have one 7mm PRC rifle there. It was a Christensen, but no ammo. Now, I know that shop has had ammo, but people have bought it up. So I think it's going to be a very successful cartridge. And maybe this is a bold prediction, but what the 6.5 Creedmoor did to the 6.5mm calibers, I think it's possible the 7mm PRC is going to do the same for the 7mm caliber. At number 2 is the 6.5 PRC. This cartridge was introduced in 2018, and since then, in the almost 5 years, it has been selling like hotcakes. This cartridge is just so well designed. The problems I have with the 6.5 Creedmoor, Hornady has fixed in the 6.5 PRC. I always think the Creedmoor just needs a little bit more power, and this is basically what it is. It's a Magnum version of a 6.5 Creedmoor. So you're going to be able to shoot 140 grain bullets around 3,000 feet per second. If you have a longer barrel, maybe 3,100. What great performance. And the recoil is very manageable. You're going to be having recoil probably like a 270 Winchester with much better ballistics for downrange stuff. So it's a great little target cartridge, and I think it's a better hunting cartridge than a 6.5 Creedmoor. And at number 1, it's probably going to surprise you coming from me, being who I am and how much I've bagged on the 6.5 Creedmoor, but here it is at number 1. And the reason I put this at number 1 is just how much influence and how much this cartridge has changed the hunting world culture and the shooting world. I mean, everyone has a 6.5 Creedmoor, except me. But the 6.5 Creedmoor, well, it's a modern, better version of a 308 Winchester, at least for target shooting. Now, as a hunting round, I do think it's a bit anemic, but it's plenty good enough for deer, antelope. It's been so influential, guys. Just think of all the cartridges that basically have copied its recipe since it's come out. It did come out in 2008. If you told me 10 years ago that the 6.5 Creedmoor was going to be the #1 best-selling cartridge in America over the 270 Winchester, the 300 Win Mag, the 30-06, and heaven forbid the 308 Winchester, I probably would have laughed, because I probably would have never even heard of a Creedmoor before. It's just insane how much this cartridge has blown up in popularity. It's pretty good on performance, very little recoil, great little target round, and so due to how much influence it's had over the market and cartridges that have come after it that kind of copy its design and its twist rates, yeah, it kind of has to be #1.